Hey everyone, today we're going to look at an intro to standard form. So standard form is actually section 2.3 in our notes packet, but before we get to the notes, we're going to do a little preview of a couple things first. So first, I just want you to understand that when we have standard form is just another way to represent the equation of a line. So we've already studied in this section so far slope-intercept form. And we know that when we do slope-intercept form, we talk about the slope, which is the m, and we talk about the b, which is the y-intercept. Okay, and we graph our lines that way by plotting the y-intercept and then doing our slope, which is our rise and our run, to draw the line. In standard form, it's kind of similar. You're still going to see that x and y, and in standard form, what you're going to do is focus more on that x and y. We know x and y are just ordered pairs on the line, but in standard form, the x and the y can be two specific ordered pairs on the line, and that's what we're going to learn about. Okay, so when we get to standard form here, standard form I have again is ax plus by equals c. So we're going to focus on the x and the y here. A, b, and c are just numbers. The cool thing about standard form is that it can be transformed into slope-intercept form all the time, and you've actually already done that. So if we have an equation like 2x plus 3y, let's say equals 12, okay, we can solve this equation, and this equation right now is in standard form because look, ax is 2x, by is 3y, equals c equals 12. So a, b, and c are just numbers. Okay, and we can take this and we can transform it into slope-intercept form by subtracting the 2x. So remember, we did this by solving for y because that's what we need to have slope-intercept form. 3y equals negative 2x plus 12, and then we divided by 3 in order to get it into slope-intercept form. So y equals, our slope is negative 2/3, times x, 12 divided by 3, our y-intercept is 4. And we know how to graph that. Go up 4 and then down to right 3 to draw our line. But slope-intercept form, 2x plus 3y equals 12, there's another way to solve that and graph it. And sometimes it's faster. So it's good to know both methods. All right. So why are we using standard form? Well, standard form allows us to find the x and y intercepts on a graph. So if you're looking down at this picture, what I can see is that this graph has an x-intercept and a y-intercept. We're used to looking at the y-intercept, right? Because we do that with slope-intercept form. So that's right here. But notice this one has an x-intercept as well. That's the 2 points we're focused on when we are doing standard form. And notice I didn't mention anything about the slope because standard form, we don't need to discuss the slope. We need to figure out what the x-intercept is and what the y-intercept is. Okay? So up here you can see the x-intercept is the point where the line crosses the x-axis. Okay? It's the point where the line, so the x-intercept, the point where the line crosses the x-axis. Or in other words, it's x comma 0. So down here in this graph, the point where this line crosses the x-axis is negative 3. So my ordered pair is negative 3, 0. Okay? Now the y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So that ordered pair is 0 comma y. Well, where does this line cross the y-axis? At 2. So the y-intercept would be the point 0, 2. Okay? So how do we find those if we have standard form? Well, we take an equation, and to find the x-intercept, we substitute in 0 for y. Because look, if you look at the x value on the x-axis, it's negative 3. So to find the negative 3, I put a 0 in for y and solve the equation. Okay? Because any point on the x-axis, the y value has to be 0. Let's think. If we come over here and we have a line that goes through 6, well, what ordered pair is that? That's over 6 up 0. That's why in order for us to find where our line's going to cross the x-axis, we plug a 0 in or substitute a 0 in for y. Okay? In order for us to find the x the y-intercept, so the y-intercept is up here in red. So for us to find the y-intercept, the x has to be 0. And that is true for any ordered pair on the y-axis. So right here, you can see that the x has to be 0 because in order for me to get to this point right here, you have to go over 0 on the x-axis and up 2. So over 0 up 2 is the point 0, 2. Again, if I came up here and had this point, well, what ordered pair is that? That means you went over 0 and up 5. So you can see every value on, if you have the y-intercept, every value of x has to be 0, okay? So you're finding 2 points. One's going to go on the x-axis. To do that, you substitute in 0 for y. In order for you to find the y-intercept, the other point on the line, you substitute 0 in for x. So jot these couple down. We're going to do a couple together, just two, just to make sure we understand it. So if I want to graph in standard form, so you can see here's my ax plus by equals c. So it's in standard form. So if I want to graph in standard form, then the first thing I do is back here, I said to find the x-intercept, y equals 0. So if I want to find the x-intercept, then all I need to do is take this equation and plug 0 in for y. So negative 4x plus 8, I'm going to plug 0 in for y. And the nice thing about it is when I plug in zeros, it just cancels out because 8 times 0 is 0. So I have negative 4x equals 16, and it turns into an easy one-step equation. So you're going to divide by negative 4. So our ordered pair is x equals 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. So our ordered pair is negative 4. And remember, back up here, I plugged a 0 in for y. So the y value has to be 0. The second thing we're going to do is find the y-intercept. And in order for us to find the y-intercept, remember, to get a point on the y-axis, I can't move over at all on the x. I have to put a 0 in for x. So I'm going to do the same equation, negative 4, but now I'm going to plug in a 0 for x. And again, the nice thing is we cancel out. Negative 4 times 0 is 0. And then we just drop down our 8y equals 16, and we have a one-step equation that we just divide. So y equals 2. 16 divided by 8 is 2. Okay, so what's the ordered pair if y is 2? Well, the x, remember, right up here, we plugged in a 0 for the x. Okay, so now all we have to do is plot those two ordered pairs. So negative 4, 0, that's my x-intercept right there. 0, 2, that's my y-intercept right there. Now we have 2 points. We can go ahead and draw a line. Make it a little thicker, all the way through that graph like this, arrows at either end. Those aren't the only 2 points on the line, remember. They're just the x and y intercepts. There's more points on this line. Okay, that's all we need to focus on. So why don't you pause and you try to do letter B. And then when you're ready, you can unpause and we will go over it. Okay, so to get us started, the first thing we need to do is find the x and y intercepts. I can see my standard form again, ax plus by equals c. So very easily to find my x-intercept, I write down the equation, and remember, I need to plug a 0 in for y. And think, I have to solve it for x, so I need the x in there. So 3x plus 2 times 0 equals negative 9. So this is going to cancel out. 2 times 0 is 0. Drop down my 3x equals negative 9, and it's a one-step equation. That's what's nice about this. It turns into one-step equations. So negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. Okay, so that ordered pair, x is negative 3, and remember we plugged a 0 in for y. So there's our first ordered pair. Our second ordered pair is our y-intercept. So we need to find our y-intercept now. So we know where it crosses the x. In order for us to find where it crosses the y, remember, you need to find the y. So you're plugging a 0 in for x. plus 2y equals -9. So the 3 times 0 cancels out this time. And remember, we're solving for y because we're finding the y-intercept. So 2y equals -9. Divide both sides by 2. And we're left with y equals -4.5. So remember, if you get a decimal, that's okay. You're just going to go halfway. So remember, this is our y value, -4.5. Our x value was 0. So again, we can go ahead and graph. -3, 0 is going to be right here for my x-intercept, and my y-intercept is -4.5. So I'm going to scoot down a little bit, -4.5. Okay, and if you're doing this on a sheet of paper, I'll show you that here in 1 second. Oh, that was a little too thick, guys. Okay, here we go. There we go. That looks a little better. Okay. So there is the line for the equation 3x plus 2y equals -9, which is in standard form. Okay. So you're finding your x-intercept, your y-intercept, and you're plotting those two ordered pairs. Now, like I said, if you were graphing this just on a sheet of paper, because you're probably going to have to do this since you guys don't have graphs all the time, what you would do is just draw a graph. Okay. So like this. And then from there, just make your little hash marks. And then like this. Just go up to maybe like 5 or 6 or so, however high you need to go. So if I were graphing this one, -1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be my first one. And my second one would be 2 for my y-intercept. And then you would just make your line there. Okay, so that's how you would do it. And you probably should even put like a -4 here and a +2 here so we can see those values. -4 is 0 and 0, 2. Okay, so that's all there is to solving or graphing standard form. So what we will need to do now is practice. All right, so I'll have you guys do a few graphs and we'll see how it goes. If you guys need any help, remember, sign into my office hours. We'll see ya. Bye.